This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Coming to the top of the stretch now, and Honor Code is making a final move after that lead. Master Lightning down inside. Cairo Prince in the midst of his rally now. It'll be floated wide by Honor Code as the field turns for home. Wicked Strong is Justin behind him, and he switched to the outside, and now they're flying past the 8th pole, and it's Cairo Prince. Cairo Prince short lead. Honor Code fighting him all the way. Then farther back, it's Wicked Strong and Intense Holiday. Final 16th of a mile. Cairo Prince and Honor Code. Honor Code fighting hard as they come down to the finish, and it is... Oh, that was close!
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Asano. On this morning's show, we will look back at some holiday weekend stakes action, and we will welcome in a trio of special guests, all from warmer weather climates. From Southern California, Mr. Owen Hardy, who will send out Arethusa in this afternoon's Hollywood Starlet. Then from South Florida, Mr. Greg DePrima, who has shipped the New York-based turf runner Plainview for this afternoon's claiming crown at Gulfstream Park. And finally, Mr. Ron Pellegrini, whose hard-hitting Angelica Zapata will go postward in the My Charmer at Calder. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our December 7th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Embrace the Race, the apparel for the horse racing lifestyle, who reminds you now you know what to ask for this holiday season. The brand for you and your lifestyle. Embrace the Race. Tell your family and friends, as I have, that they can shop for you by reaching an Embrace the Race personal shopping assistant at their store at 12 Circular Street in Saratoga. Call them directly at 580-4500 or visit embracetherace.com. Great brand, amazing products, perfect for the holiday season. Embrace the Race. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Welcome to December. We dodged a snowstorm bullet overnight. Things not bad at all here in the greater Capital District area. Settle in, relax. We've got a good show for you this morning with two first-time guests, both from South Florida, Greg DePrima and Ron Pellegrini. But we begin this morning's show with some good news. With a plethora of year-end retirements, some of which were quite premature, it was good to hear that Mucho Macho Man will be back to race again next year. The winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic, Mucho Macho Man, got very good this fall, and rather than retire him, his connections chose to pursue a 6-year-old campaign. Now, I don't know how much of that decision had to do with the fact that the Breeders' Cup will again be at Santa Anita in 2014, a track Mucho Macho Man obviously enjoys, but I think it helped to sway the decision. Kathy Ritfo said the big horse will likely start sometime during this Gulfstream meet. It's going to be great to have him back. And by the way, he breezed an easy 3 furlongs in 37 and change this morning in South Florida. Longtime trainer Harvey Vanier passed away last Sunday at the age of 89. Harvey's best, and I think best known horse, was Playfellow, who in 1983 won more Grade 1 races than any member of his generation. Playfellow won the Bluegrass, the Arlington Classic, the American Derby, and the Travers, the latter defeating Slew of Gold. Harvey Vanier, dead at 89. It is 223 days and about a dozen snowstorms until opening day at Saratoga. And if something doesn't change before July 18th, 2014, it's going to cost more to attend the races at the spa. NYRA management has decided to increase admission from $3 to $5 for the grandstand, and from the current $5 to $8 for the clubhouse. Now, admission costs have not increased since 2005. Also, NYRA will increase the cost for Saratoga boxes and possibly reserved seats as well. NYRA President Chris Kay recommended the increases in order to show a 2014 budget with a profit. Similar increases will apply to Belmont Park as well, but as we know, other than Belmont Stakes Day, on-track attendance there is just a small percentage of what Saratoga draws. Changes to Aqueduct are also involved in the budget. Training at the Big A, which is currently year-round, will shut down for 2 to 4 months next year. And the race week at Aqueduct will change some beginning this January, when NYRA runs on Mondays and will be dark Wednesdays for an 11-week period beginning January 13th. So again, increased fees and cutting back in training, all done to bolster the bottom line. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, except everybody seems to be overlooking something. NYRA is a not-for-profit. Why do you need to increase these fees? And there is a risk. Nobody knows to what degree. But anytime you increase fees in an era where it's terribly difficult to draw people to the racetrack, there is some level of risk. Why do they need that risk if they are a not-for-profit? Now, I know that may sound simplistic to a lot of you, and it is, but there's a reason that they're a not-for-profit. Now, we asked NYRA President Chris Kay to come on this morning and explain this thinking. He is traveling. We will attempt to get him in one of the upcoming weeks. Now, speaking of Saratoga, a pair of Spa Stakes have been downgraded by the American Graded Stakes Committee. The Prioress goes from a grade 1 to a grade 2. The Sanford from a 2 to a 3. All right, let us take a look at a couple of stakes from last weekend, beginning with the Cigar Mile. Trainer Doug O'Neill controlled the pace in here with the uncoupled duo of Private Zone, stretching out off a series of 6 furlong sprints, and Golden Sense, the lukewarm 3-1 favorite who ran so big in winning the bias-aided Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile in last. Two key but often overlooked points I'd like to make here. First, in one-turn mile races, post positions can be very important, and I certainly think they were in here. Outside posts afford the opportunity to obtain a safer trip than when you're drawn down inside. Well, here, number 9, Flat Out, would set a perfect outside trip to run down number 11, Private Zone, with number 10, Verrazano, a very fortunate third. Unfortunately for number 4, Groupie Doll, who would finish 4th, and number 3, Clearly Now, the 5th place finisher, tough inside trips hurt their chances. The other point I'd like to make, and this is strictly personal, I really like turnbacks in these one-turn mile races. And the main reason, there is almost always a rapid pace in these major one-turn mile dirt races. And I'm saying dirt races, not grass races. Met Mile, Cigar Mile. That in itself is critical in giving turnbacks a big chance. Here they went 22.59, 45.39, and Flat Out, in what may have been his final career start, was able to rally for a length and a quarter score. A winner of the Westchester Mile off a turnback earlier this year, Flat Out bounced back from a poor 8th place finish in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Flat Out and Verrazano were probably making their final career starts, while Groupie Doll is likely to have one more start, as her new owner, Mandy Pope, would like to send her out a winner. But think about this, and listen, it's certainly easy to say after the fact because the order of finish in the Cigar Mile was 9-11-10, but outside post almost always more beneficial than being stuck down inside. Just ask, Rajiv Marat aboard Groupie Doll or the rider of Clearly Now. They got in all kinds of trouble down in there. And again, I personally like those turnbacks. Horses who had been racing longer distances, when they turn back to a flat one-turn dirt mile, you almost always get the rapid pace that is needed. Finally, in this segment, the Remsen for 2-year-olds, a 2-horse race on paper, featuring the late-running Honor Code number 4, the 4-5 favorite, with Cairo Prince, who has plenty of tactical speed, the $1.65 to the $1 second choice. Now, first off, if anyone had told me, despite the post position advantage, that Honor Code would be in front of Cairo Prince early, I would never have believed it. Now, I know the extreme outside post was not ideal for Cairo Prince, but I still thought he would be much closer to the early leaders than Honor Code. Didn't you? Now, the second unimaginable occurrence in the Remsen was the pace. 52.74 for the opening half and 117.56 for the first 3 quarters. Whenever you have an incredibly slow pace, as you did in here, I really don't know how much you can glean out of that race. Sure, we know that Honor Code is courageous, and in his defense, maybe this dead pace really did hurt his chances. If you go by his first 2 starts, it appeared he would have to have a very fast early pace. But the snail-like pace did allow him to obtain a forward and inside position in a perfect trip. Cairo Prince was pretty much wide throughout, and he was giving Honor Code 6 pounds. And his jock, Luis Saez, probably isn't going to put this race in his video library of outstanding rides. He made the front here in the lane only to get outfinished by Honor Code. Now, how did the pace impact Cairo Prince? Did it help him, turning the Remsen basically into a sprint? Or would a more legitimate pace have aided him more? Wicked Strong, number 7, coming off a maiden win, parlayed a good trip into a close third-place finish. Did he benefit from the trip and the pace? And Intense Holiday came from reasonably far off that dead pace and raced wide to finish a very respectable 4th. Again, I just don't know how much you can tell from a bizarrely run race like this. Now, here's the photo, and that is obviously close. Last Saturday at Aqueduct, a trio of mile and an 1/8 stakes races. Let's compare the fractions for the Comely for older fillies, the Demoiselle for 2-year-old fillies, and the Remsen. And this is pretty dramatic when you take a look at this. For instance, the half-mile fraction in the Remsen, 4.7 seconds slower than the Comely. That is unbelievable. The 3/4 mark of 117.56, 5.6 seconds slower than the Comely, and 2 full seconds slower than the fillies in the Demoiselle. So when you run that slow early, you can't really run a very fast final time. And the 152.92 for the Remsen, 3 full seconds slower than the Comely, and 3/10 of a second slower than the Demoiselle. So again, folks, when you have such a bizarrely run race, and that's all you can categorize the Remsen as, I mean, the next time you see 3/4 in 17.56, is going to be over a bog on turf. I mean, you just don't see races run that slowly. I just don't know how much you can get out of that race. Now, both the Winter Honor Code and Cairo Prince have either shipped to South Florida or will be shipping to South Florida. I'm still going to be very interested if Shug runs Honor Code at Gulfstream. You know, the only I should say, in my opinion, the only reason he was that close to the pace in the Remsen is because there was no pace. When they go to Gulfstream and it's a legitimate pace, they're likely to run away from him early on, just like in his first two starts, and that is not a racetrack that is terribly conducive to horses coming from the clouds. So it's going to be very interesting to see Honor Code begin his 3-year-old campaign this winter at Gulfstream. And we are up to our first break on this, our December 7th edition of the program. Thank you so much for having joined us. When we return, Mr. Owen Hardy. As we go to this break, more 2-year-old males in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Now, the race changed dramatically in early afternoon when the heavy favorite, Almost Famous, had to be scratched. I think he stepped on a stone or a pebble, nothing serious, but Pat Byrne had to scratch him. That left the 2.5-to-1 favorite, number 9, Dobra Historia, the 3-to-1 second choice, number 6, Tapiture, a maiden. So we'll take a look at a piece of the Kentucky Jockey Club to the break. Back with Owen Hardy right after these messages.
They race towards the back stretch, and as they do so, the leader is Laddie Boy. Clicked off the quarter in 24-1. Laddie Boy is out in front. My Gal Sal racing in second. Notability in third. Buck Magic on the outside in fourth. Between horses, Tapiture is in a very close fifth and now making ground. Clear sailing for Awesome Sky, who is in sixth and making ground towards the outside, followed by Arctic Slope and then Dobra Historia. And at the back of the field, through the halfway point, is Culprit. They're through halfway, a half mile to go in the 87th running of the Kentucky Jockey Club, and it is Laddie Boy who took the half in 47-3, who has now a stretched field behind. In second is Tapiture. Back in third is Buck Magic, and now Awesome Sky begins to make a move around the outside. He has taken third, and now he's got 2 lengths to find on the dueling leaders with a quarter of a mile to go. Laddie Boy to the inside rail, Tapiture towards the outside. Still there's a break of 2 lengths back to Awesome Sky, and those are well clear. Dobra Historia did not fire today. Inside the final furlong, it is Tapiture and Ricardo Santana Jr. They've gone clear by 3 lengths, and they're going further clear on the run to the line. Steve Asmussen wins the race for the second time. It is Tapiture who breaks his maiden in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And how? Tapiture over Laddie Boy, and then Awesome Sky back in fourth, Buck Magic.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Embrace the tradition. Embrace the passion. Embrace the race. Apparel for the horse racing lifestyle.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano, and Tapiture for Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr., a maiden no longer, as he captures the Kentucky Jockey Club by 4 1/4 over Laddie Boy and Awesome Sky. First guest this morning, upset the Sharp Cat Stakes with a then maiden in Arethusa. Well, that filly returns later this afternoon for the Hollywood Starlet, and we are happy to welcome back her trainer, Mr. Owen Hardy. Owen, Mark Casano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Morning, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
Well, always nice to have you, Owen. Let's talk Arethusa. She was a maiden after her first 3 starts. She had run, pretty well around 2 turns at Santa Anita. Talk about her early training and her early racing.
Well, she's always displayed plenty of talent. Just one look at her, and you could consider her physique and her pedigree, and you know she's a two-turn kind of filly. So there was no point in really beating her up, sprinting her. I gave her a race early in the Belmar meet, going short. It kind of put some run on her mind and stretched her out immediately after that. She was unlucky at Santa Anita. You know, it's a very speed-favouring racetrack, and I felt confident that she would really improve at Hollywood Park. I wasn't really expecting the performance that she put in the Sharp Cat, and I really only entered her in there to try and, she's got plenty of pedigree. She's by AP Indy out of a Coronado's Quest mare, and if you can put some black type on them at any stage, you've got to take advantage of that. And I felt with the way she trained and the way she ran that she could hit the board in the Sharp Cat, and that's basically all I was going for.
Owen, in a moment, we are going to put a shot of Arethusa on the screen for our audience. Would you take a moment to describe her from a physical standpoint, please?
Yeah, she's not the most attractive horse. She moves very well on the racetrack, and she's got a super personality and a great temperament. But basically, when you look at her, she's got a very high wither. She doesn't have much of a hip. She's got sickle hocks. Carries her head a little high. She's a bit on the narrow side. I mean, there's nothing really that's going to grab you when you look at her at a standstill. But when you watch her move on the racetrack, it's like she just transforms, morphs into a female secretariat.
Well, we are about to take a look at her move on the racetrack as we go back and take a look at the Sharp Cat Stakes. For our audience, Arethusa is number 3. Owen, as you mentioned earlier, came up a short field. You were looking to get a piece of it. Talk about this. Well, you got a lot more than a piece of it. Talk about this last to first win.
She's a very intelligent filly, and she pretty much picked up on everything I was teaching her to do from a very early age. Unless you've got, horses that look like they're going to be precocious, then there's no point in beating them up. If you look at that filly, and there's no point in, putting a series of very sharp drills in her, because it's not going to make any difference at the end of the day. So basically, I trained her like you would a turf filly. All her work's pretty much on the slower side, but she always finished very strong. She always went to the last 3/8 and under 36, and that's always a good sign. So I knew basically her genetics dictated the fact that she'd get 2 turns, and the way I trained her, she ran accordingly in the Sharp Cat, and I expect her to run the same way today.
You got a very, very quick and contested pace in the Sharp Cat, and looking at her running style, that's something that she's going to need. That's something she'll benefit from.
Definitely. If she was going 1.25 miles today, I wouldn't have any hesitations about running her. The further, the better, and she's going to need a decent speed duel up front to actually win this race. But I figure she can hit the board, and if I could win it, it's going to be even more icing on the cake.
Owen, can a race like this or an effort like this give a young horse more confidence moving forward?
Definitely. Horses, they're intelligent beings, and they, when they've done something good, they sense it, they know it, and they act accordingly. And the same way, if they've taken if they've gotten their butts kicked a couple of times, and you can see the confidence level go down in the horse, and their demeanor changes, their appetite changes, and that's something you've really got to be cognizant of the whole time.
How did Arethusa come out of the Sharp Cat? How's she been training up to this afternoon's Starlet?
Well, I hate to throw a whole bunch of trainer cliches at you, but she really did come out of the race very, very well. She's been in top shape since then. She's feeling good on the racetrack. She's doing good around the barn. She's eating everything. She's happy. She's got a little bit of sass to her attitude. Her workouts have been good, and they're all positive signs. I see no reason why she should regress today.
Well, she exceeded your expectations in the Sharp Cat. Have your expectations now changed for Arethusa for this afternoon's Starlet?
Well, it's a pretty contentious race. She's going to have to genuinely earn this victory if she's capable of doing it, because there's some solid runners in there. It's not a huge field, but what's in there is quality, and she's going to have to earn this victory today.
Owen, before we let you go, I want to talk about a couple of other youngsters in the barn, beginning with a first-timer you're going to unveil in this afternoon's second race at Hollywood, and that is Yardline, a firster by Discreet Cat with an interesting series of works. Tell us a little bit about Yardline.
Yeah, this is a very nice colt. He didn't come into me until a little later in the year, and consequently I'm getting started a little later than I would have liked. But he's done everything very, very well. His works have all been good, and he's done them all in hand. So I've got to believe there's plenty more left in the tank. I really like this horse. Now my record with first-time starters is horrible, so you got to take that into consideration when you're betting on this horse today. But if he doesn't do it today, he's certainly going to do it in the very, very near future. I really like this horse, and I think he's got a very bright future.
That sounds very, very interesting. Is this the type? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the PPs in front of me, but I believe a while back he showed a 3/8 work in 34 and change, and I'm not used to seeing that from Owen Hardy trained babies.
Well, believe me, that wasn't on purpose. It was really his first work for me. I had my regular exercise rider on him. I just said, just let him run down the stretch and see what he does, and that's what he did. And that's, that was a pretty good indication as to his future abilities right there. But after that, you can see his works have all been a little more in hand, a little more moderate, we'll say.
And finally, Owen, how about an update on your 2-year-old filly, Colonel Joan, who was a very fine third as a maiden in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf?
You know what? I've turned her out, or I gave her a break. She's just been a very pleasant surprise. I bought the filly for my wife. I didn't pay a lot of money for her. I paid $20,000 for her. She's out of a Dixieland Band mare. Dixieland Band, as most people know, is a very good broodmare sire. She's by Colonel John, a horse I trained. And she just looked the part, and for $20,000 I couldn't pass it up. So everything she's done for me has just been cherries on the cakes. And she really moved forward with each race. And I took a chance in the Breeders' Cup with her. Basically, it was a lot of fun for my wife and myself. And the filly owed us nothing, so we put her in there, and she ran a huge race. And there's really not a lot of turf stakes over the winter at Santa Anita. Most of the races are geared towards prep races for the Kentucky Oaks. So with that in mind, I just seized the opportunity and turned her out. And she'll be back in here probably mid-January. I'll get her started for the spring and summer.
Sounds good. Owen, as always, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. All the best with Arethusa this afternoon in the Starlet. We'll be looking forward to Yardline in this afternoon second, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
All right, guys. I enjoyed it. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Owen. Owen Hardy, ladies and gentlemen. And, I like it when a trainer just comes out and tells you, my record with first-time starters is abysmal. This is an interesting colt. You heard him say if he doesn't do it today, he expects him to do it pretty soon, and he's very, very high on Yardline, so you might want to jot down his name. And we are up to our next break. When we return, it's off to South Florida, where we will welcome in Mr. Greg DePrima as we go to the break, the final Matriarch Stakes from Hollywood Park. The 19-10 favorite, number 5, Tiz Flirtatious. So we will take a look at the Matriarch to the break. Back with Greg DePrima right after these messages.
They're off. Day at the Spa, Discreet Mark, and Egg Drop are going to take charge into the clubhouse turn. Better Lucky, Wishing Gate, and Pianist are next. Then comes Stormy Lucy, followed by My Gigi, and the early trailer is Tiz Flirtatious. Egg Drop sets the pace to the backstretch. She is 2 lengths in front of Discreet Mark in second. It's a length to Day at the Spa. 3 deep in third and 2.5 or 3 from the front. Wishing Gate gallops in fourth. She's got 4.5 to come. She's 2 in front of defending champion Better Lucky, who now draws within 5 of the lead. Stormy Lucy has 7 lengths to close. Pianist 9. My Gigi 11. And if Tiz Flirtatious wins the 32nd Matriarch, she will make up 13 lengths in the final half mile. Egg Drop past the half-mile pole, and she is the leader. Egg Drop 2.5 lengths in front of Discreet Mark in second. Day at the Spa in striking position third. She's 2.5 from the front now as well. Wishing Gate stays at the rail. Then comes Better Lucky, still 5 to make up. Stormy Lucy 7. Tiz Flirtatious is out of last place, but she still has 10 lengths to make up and only a quarter mile to do it. Pianist and My Gigi, Egg Drop the leader. Now it's only 3/4 of a length to Discreet Mark. Day at the Spa is next. Wishing Gate needs a way through. Better Lucky in the center. Tiz Flirtatious 6 from the new leader, Discreet Mark. Discreet Mark has the lead. Better Lucky is running up outside of Day at the Spa. Egg Drop is battling back. Egg Drop, Discreet Mark, those two! I think Egg Drop came back and beat the horse that put her away, Discreet Mark. It's very close with the 2 grays, but I think it might very well be Egg Drop.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Owen Hardy once again for having joined us. An Egg Drop from Mike Mitchell and Martine Garcia comes back along the inside to nail Discreet Mark to win the Matriarch. Better Lucky was third. When you have a turf horse at this time of year, New York is not exactly the place to be. So our next guest has shipped the New York-based turfer Plainview to South Florida to run in this afternoon's claiming crown at Gulfstream Park. We welcome Mr. Greg DePrima. Greg, Mark Casano, welcoming you to Down the Stretch.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much.
Very, very nice to have you, Greg. Let me get this out of the way. You know, you're going to depress me with this answer, but what's the weather like this morning in South Florida?
Well, it's about 80 degrees right now, I believe, and very sunny out.
We're not going to see 80 degrees again until June. All right, Greg, as our audience watches Plainview win a Saratoga allowance this past summer, and for our audience, he is number 5. Let's talk about him. You claimed him back in May of 2012 when he wasn't in very good form. What did you like about him?
Well, what I liked about him, Mark, was, first of all, he's a good-looking horse. He has some nice size to him, and he's a well-bred horse. I always thought stretching him back out again on the grass and maybe taking those blinkers off that he was wearing would be key. And it seemed to work for us.
I'll say it seemed to work for you because he returned instant dividends. As you mentioned, you removed the blinkers, you stretched him back out, and he won his first 3 starts for you. That had to be a pleasant surprise.
It really was. It just seems he got to relax a little more without the blinkers and just get him on an easy lead and just settle up there. And it worked for him.
I mean, Greg, realistically, you paid $25,000 for him. Realistically, what did you expect you were buying?
Well, I was hoping to win my conditional races. My 2-3 life conditions, and just stay in the claiming rank. That's, if we could move him up a little, that would have been great. I never expected him to go on like he did. He's really improved for us.
He certainly has. I believe, if I'm correct, he's run 13 times for you since you claimed him with 6 wins.
That's correct, yes.
That's pretty good stuff.
It really is. And we've ran him in some pretty tough races. And we thought all the time we sent him over there in those type races that he was up to it. And he always gives a good effort. He really tries. He never really quits. And that's all you can ask for.
Greg, is he a reasonably sound racehorse?
Yes, very much so. You know? One of the big keys with him last year, I think, we put him away for the winter time last year. We sent him to Ocala just for a little rest, and it did a world of good. We skipped the Claiming Crown last year, even though we thought about it. But we made a point to try to make it this year as one of our final races for the year. So that's kind of where we're at now.
Well, following a very fine second behind Za Approval in the Knickerbocker two-back, and I thought that was an outstanding effort. He finished second in the 3 Coins Up at Aqueduct and last.
Yeah.
We are about to take a look at it. He is number 5 in here for our audience. Greg, talk about this effort, if you would.
The 3 Coins Up was a real good effort. You know, the course was listed as firm that day, and even though it's listed as firm, you always get a little more give in the ground this time of the year in New York. Just less sunshine and whatnot. He really prefers a course that's more of a rock-hard course. That day, the track variant may have been a 14, I think. If he can get a little faster course, he appreciates it, but he really ran well besides that fact. He dug in, and Carafa came and picked him up, but another nice horse who beat him that day.
The opening quarter in here, 22-4. At this time of year, that is just a brutally fast opening quarter.
And it really was. When I saw that first quarter mile, I was a little concerned. He's gone fast before, but never that fast early. When I see 23-4 with him, that sort of thing, I'm never too worried. 23-2. When I saw that, I was a little concerned, but he's a type of horse you really want to stay out of his way, let him do his thing kind of. And Jose Lascano, who rode most of his races for us, he knows him so well, and he knows that, and that's why I'm so comfortable with him today over here. We have Jose back on him, and the other riders, not to mention, they did a great job with him, don't get me wrong, but Jose seems to really get along well with him.
So we know speed is his game. Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, is it fair to call him one-dimensional?
I don't think so, because day in Saratoga, when Jose Ortiz rode him on the 26th of August, it won't show it in the running lines. We got out pretty slow out the gate, and he was able to just, kind of get up into it, and I wouldn't say it was rating him, but he didn't make the lead that day initially, but he got to it pretty quickly, though. So he could sit a bit if he had to, I think. He's shown he can do it. So, like I said, we won't take him out of his game. We'll let him run his race and be comfortable. But if he needs to, he could do it, I think.
When did you ship him to South Florida, and how did he ship?
Well, we shipped him right after the 3 Coins Up, probably about 2 days after. I wanted to get him to Ocala just to get him acclimated to the warmer weather. He spent time at Goldmark Farm last winter. We sent him back there after the 3 Coins Up just to keep him training there. I want to avoid the cold weather in the winter that was coming, and it did, over at Belmont, rather. So we got him there. He had a nice work on the 30th of November, and we shipped him from Goldmark in Ocala this past Tuesday to Gulfstream Park.
How has he acclimated, Greg? Sometimes horses going from cold to very warm weather take a while to acclimate. How's he doing?
I think he's doing great. I've been with him since Tuesday here at Gulfstream, and he's just playing and acting normal. It doesn't look like the trip affected him all. He only had a 5-hour ride on Tuesday morning from Ocala to Gulfstream down south here. So he did have time to acclimate. That was our plan. Get him out of New York, get him down to Florida, which we did. Got him to the training center where he trained in the wintertime for us, getting ready for his spring campaign. So I think the plan was good. It was an owner, our owner, Mike Imperial. He had the plan, and it was a great idea. I said, yep, sounds good to me. Let's do it. So that's what we did, and we got him down here now, and he's been perfect.
Now, you mentioned earlier this is probably his last race. Is he going to freshen up for the winter, or if he runs big this afternoon over a suspected firm turf course, might you consider keeping him at Gulfstream this winter?
We My owners and I talked about it. As much as we'd like to run him, he did so well for us off the break. After this race, we already have plans. He'll head back to Goldmark and Ocala and get a little rest, and we'll do the same thing as last year. We'll get him prepared for his spring campaign. Hopefully everything goes well.
Well, Greg, congratulations on a terrific claim. I mean, 6 for 13, and let's face it, a couple of those losses, one was in the Manhattan, and one, I think he stumbled very badly one other time. He has done incredibly well for you. Great job in claiming him, and all the best this afternoon in the Claiming Crown at Gulfstream.
Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, Greg. Greg DePrima, ladies and gentlemen. This was a heck of a claim, and the biggest thing about, and it's the Emerald, it's race number 9, where Plainview is in. Graham Motion has a horse, and you don't normally think of Graham Motion's horses having a tremendous amount of speed, but this Grip Hands has a lot of early speed. He could be the key to how Plainview runs. He's drawn outside of Plainview, so that's going to be very, very interesting. But what a terrific claim by Greg DePrima and Mike Imperio on Plainview, and we wish him the best in this afternoon's Claiming Crown Emerald, race number 9 at Gulfstream Park. And we are up to our final break on this December 7th edition of the show. Thank you so much for having joined us. When we return back to South Florida, where it's about 80 degrees and sunny, where we welcome in Mr. Ron Pellegrini. As we go to the break, the Conley last Saturday in New York. The 70 cent to the dollar favorite, number 2, Wedding Toast. I thought she would be very, very tough in here. The longest shot on the board, by far, was number 9, Toasting. So we'll take a look at Wedding Toast and Toasting and all the rest in the Conley to the break. Back with Ron Pellegrini right after these messages.
Solid first quarter, up in 23 4/5 seconds. And it is Wedding Toast the leader. A length behind My Happy Face. They're 1-2 down the backstretch run as Sky Girl tips to the outside, running along in 3rd. Teen Pauline down on the fence and 4th. Then Flash Forward racing in 5th position, followed by Sheer Drama. It's another 2 lengths back to Marathon Lady, another 6 back to Toasting, and the last of them all is Galloping Giraffe. Galloping Giraffe is about 15 lengths from the lead. And they get over to a half mile in 48 seconds flat. And it's the favorite Wedding Toast still in front. Now mounting a bid for the lead, My Happy Face, but she's still 3/4 of a length behind. Sky Girl on the outside, Teen Pauline down toward the rail. Sheer Drama is now 5th. Marathon Lady's gathering momentum now and makes a move with 3 furlongs to go. And following that move is Toasting. Flash Forward down toward the rail, 6 lengths back to Galloping Giraffe. 3/4 up, 11 4. And the field turns for home, and it's still Wedding Toast in front. Teen Pauline is now 2nd, and My Happy Face is given way. And here comes Toasting. Wedding Toast and Toasting for the final 1/8 of a mile here. Wedding Toast digging down bravely, and Toasting is full out on the outside. Those two will come to the wire together. Toasting and Wedding Toast. Wedding Toast and Toasting. Here's the wire. It's Wedding Toast over Toasting. Teen Pauline was 3rd.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Greg DePrima once again for having joined us. And Wedding Toast for Kieran and Javier in a real battle by a head over Toasting, who ran huge to capture the Conley. Final guest this morning, joining us from sunny and warm South Florida, will be sending out the honest, hard-knocking mare, Angelica Zapata, in this afternoon's Grade 3 My Charmer from Calder. We welcome live via telephone Mr. Ron Pellegrini. Ron, Mark Casano welcoming you to Down the Stretch.
Same to you, Mark.
Nice to have you, Ron.
Thank you.
I referred to Angelica Zapata as honest and hard-knocking. How accurate is that?
I think it's pretty accurate. She runs her race just about every time. The last year and a half, she had a lot of problems as a 2-year-old in races, taken too far back, getting in trouble here and there. But the last year and a half, she's come around the way we thought she would. So we've been very happy. We picked her spots for her. She's got some issues, so we got to be careful on what we do with her.
She has handled just about everything you've thrown at her. She's handled any and all surfaces. What makes her so consistent and so versatile?
Well, I think the consistency is she's just a nice filly, and she doesn't race all that much, so we have her ready every time we send her over there. So I think that's what gives the consistency is, she's pretty much ready. We've had time to get her ready for every race we ran her in, so we've pretty much always had her ready. So I think that's what comprises the consistency. Plus, she's just an honest horse. She goes out there and she knows what to do, and she just runs her race.
Well, we're about to show the audience a little piece of last year's Stage Door Betty. This was in the slop for our audience. She is number 4. Now, Ron, this ended a terrific 2012 season in which she won 4 times, but she only ran 5 times last year. You mentioned that she's got some issues. What are those issues, and did it prevent her from running more than 5 times last year?
Yeah, she's got a problem with one of her ankles, and I'd stopped on her the year before also for 5 months at the end of her 2-year-old year, and we figured that we needed to do that. We stopped on her for 5 months 2 different times in her career, 2 and 3, and she's responded by coming back and running really good for us after the layoff. So it's been good for both of us.
Well, you've done a great job picking her spots. We are about to take a look at her last start, the November 2nd Capano Handicap at Calder. For our audience, she is number 6. Interesting, Ron, you're in, pretty salty in today's My Charmer with your mare, who up until her last 2 races had never won on grass. Now she goes back to back. Talk about this effort in last in the Capano.
Well, Juan had her right where we wanted, just right on the pace there. And in the far turn, they had the rail extended way out that day, and he said that it was just real slippery out where she was at, and she was having a hard time picking it up. So he just kind of eased back on her on the turn. He said he let that other horse go ahead and open up on her. He felt we wouldn't have any problem catching her once they straightened out for home, but she was having some problems picking up the track behind and on the far turn. And they were only a second off the track record. So she should have been stakes place, the greatest stakes place as a 2-year-old on the grass, and we just kept getting in some bad situations.
Well, Ron, what impressed me so much here, and now that you've told us that she had some problems here around the far turn with the footing, I mean, she had a chase. She ran down the leader. She then held off Sure Route. I mean, this was a good effort. Is it the type of effort that you would expect her to move forward off of?
Oh, yes. When they galloped out, she just galloped out stronger than the other horses, too. So there was no way, in my mind, I thought, well, there was no way they were going to get by her anyhow. But she gave away a little ground on that far turn. I mean, she was right head and head with that horse that was on the lead, Montreal. But he just backed off for 3 or 4 lengths, let her go, and said, I'll have no problem picking her up. So, even the race before that, or a couple races back when she beat that filly that Marty Wilson has now, my pal Chrissy, she got in a bunch of trouble that day, and at the 16th pole, she was 3 lengths behind. Looked like she was going to run second, and she found it somewhere inside her to just run on by that horse in the last 16. So she's always had some kind of issues in races. She's not a good luck filly, but she overcomes a lot of bad luck.
Today will be her 25th career start. Ron, she has never won at 9 furlongs. In fact, she's only run once at 1 1/8 miles. Be brutally honest with our audience. How concerned are you about her going 9 furlongs?
I have no qualms at all about it. I think she'll handle it fine. The mare she's out of, if I'm not mistaken, went up to 1 mile and 3/16 so on the turf. So when she's won a couple of 1 mile and 16 races in hand and galloped out strong, I don't have any qualms about her going farther.
How's she doing coming up to this afternoon's My Charmer?
Well, I guess the way you'd like a horse to. When I got there in the morning, she was up front munching out of her hay rack, and then we walked her, and then she laid down and rested a while, and then she got up, had breakfast, and went back, laid down when I last seen her. So she knows how to take care of her.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me, Ron, particularly since it's 80 degrees out. Well, listen, all congratulations with the wonderful job with Angelica Zapata. Best of luck later this afternoon in the My Charmer, and we want to thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch.
I appreciate it, and we can always use the luck.
Good luck later this afternoon, Ron.
All right, and you guys have a good day up there, too.
Thank you. Ron Pellegrini, ladies and gentlemen. That's a fascinating renewal of the My Charmer. It is contentious, and we'll look for Angelica Zapata to run well later this afternoon. Now, last Saturday marked the close of the new Kentucky Derby futures pool. The field, of course, closed the favorite. Honor Code closed as the lowest individual separate betting interest. Absolutely no surprises anywhere, although one of my favorite 2-year-olds, Bobby's Kitten, who is a turf horse, does occupy one of the 23 separate betting interests. Now, I put together for last week's show a list of 2-year-olds who are either still maidens or maiden breakers. In other words, they've either won no races or they've won 1 race. Now, we didn't have time on last week's show to use it, so please keep in mind that this was done prior to last Saturday's racing. Let's take a look at the list. 4 horses on the list actually raced in the 2-year-old stakes last Saturday. Culprit, who is a son of Street Sense, ran a poor 8th in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Dobra Historia, who is a son of Unbridled Song, was 7th as the favorite in the Kentucky Jockey Club. The colt that I'm really interested in is Notability. He is still a maiden. He is by English Channel, trained by Dale Romans, and he finished a somewhat troubled 5th in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Back here in New York, I was very interested in Wicked Strong, a son of Hardspun from Jimmy Jerkins. Well, he finished a very close 3rd in the Remsen. Now again, We have no idea if that bizarrely slow pace helped Wicked Strong. He did sit a wonderful trip to finish third. Now, couple of others here who did not race last weekend. Cousin Stephen is a son of Proud Citizen. He is trained by Chad Brown. He has started only twice. He broke his maiden in last. Now, he didn't beat a whole lot. There were a couple of turf horses in there, but I like the way he did it. And it kind of reminds me of Normandy Invasion early on in his 2-year-old career. So Cousin Stephen is on the list, and then Shakenator is on the list. He is a son of Curlin. He broke his maiden, he's run twice, with a win and a second. In his debut, he was second behind Dober Historia at Keeneland when he broke very, very slowly, made a big run, then ducked in or lugged in a little bit and flattened out. Well, he broke his maiden in his second start, November 16th, in the 6th at Churchill. He's trained by Kenny McPeak. So, this will give you, and we may want to add Yardline from Owen Hardy on here as well. We'll pay attention to this afternoon's second race from Hollywood. But here are, well, there's 6 horses on your screen plus Yardline, who are extremely lightly raced. But it might be fun kind of keeping an eye on them. They've got the pedigree to stretch out. Whether or not they have the talent to stretch out and compete at a high level is yet to be seen. But let's follow them and have some fun taking a look at how they develop. All right, time to thank everyone who helped get this week's show on the air here at the studios at the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, and Mick Richards. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed and handled pre-production, Landis Burgess on audio. Thanks to this morning's guests. From California, Mr. Owen Hardy, and from Florida, Mr. Greg DePrima and Mr. Ron Pellegrini. And thanks to our sponsor, Embrace the Race, the apparel for the horse racing lifestyle, who reminds you, now you know what to ask for this holiday season. The brand for you and your lifestyle, Embrace the Race. Tell your family and friends they can shop for you by reaching Embrace the Race personal assistant at their store at 12 Circular Street in Saratoga. You can call them at 518-580-4500, or you can visit embracetherace.com. Great brand, amazing products, perfect for the holiday season. Embrace the Race, and we thank Mike D'Anzaris and the folks that Embrace the Race for their continued sponsorship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so very much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Enjoy all the racing action this weekend here at Capitol. We've got some good racing this afternoon, the Claiming Crown. The fields don't appear to me to be as big as they were last year, but some good-sized fields with value. We've got some nice grass racing from Calder. We've got the Hollywood Starlet from Hollywood Park. So enjoy all the racing action this weekend. Have a terrific upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.